Good morning, everyone. Okay, we'll continue our book reading this morning, Advanced Selling Strategy by Brian Tracy. We're in chapter 9, How to Make Powerful Presentation. Yesterday, we looked at problem identification on page 325 and defined problem identification as the ability to clearly identify the problem that your products and services can solve, which is also a way to make a sales success. Give us a different definition of the kind of question you should be asking. One is the situation question, and the other one is the meaning question. Situation question helps you to get a deeper understanding of what's the problems that your prospect or your customer is actually facing in terms of using some particular product. Why meaning questions is to help find out what your customer or your client is facing in terms of using a particular product that you would like to change. So what is the importance of asking these questions? The importance of asking these questions is meant to reveal the hurt your prospect or your client is feeling when using a product or service from another vendor, not in particularly from you. It helps to review your customers or your clients or your prospects dissatisfaction and discomfort. It also helps you to know where your product or service will be needed to solve that problem. Then secondly, by skillfully asking questions, you will know where the problem lies, and you would help to elaborate or make this problem larger or bigger for your client, so that they will see that there is a need and there is a gap for your product or your service to come in and help your prospect um, uh, solve that problem, and to also make them know that your product is also an ideal solution for whatever problem exists in the company. So today we'll be looking at presenting the solution on page 326, presenting the solution. So the third phase of the sales process is presenting the solution. This phase includes the entire sales presentation. It is made much easier by the accurate diagnosis you have done in the problem identification phase. In the presenting part of this sales process, you show the prospect how your product or service can solve his or her problem in a cost-effective way. You show the prospect how he can achieve his goal faster and more dependably by using your product than he could by using any other, or than by using nothing at all. You show your prospect what your product does, how it works, and you answer that key question, what do I get? By bringing the whole presentation to bear on answering the questions, what is in it for me? I will deal more thoroughly with the presentation process below. The most important thing for you to remember at this stage is that you must follow each phase of the selling process in order. You must first develop rapport by using good personal and situation questions. You go on to the problem identification by asking more penetrating questions and exploring the real cost of meaning of the problem or gap you have uncovered. You proceed to the presentation of the solution once you and your customer are perfectly clear that the problem worthy of solving has been identified. It is also at the end of this three-part process that price should enter the discussion. We'll talk more about how to deal with the price question in chapter 10, the buying process. Just as you follow a specific sales process from beginning to end, every customer follows a specific buying process as well. This process may be conscious or unconscious. Since you're a customer when you buy things, you are well aware of this process. Even if you haven't clearly articulated it in the past. The buying process has three parts or stages. The first stage is when the customer realizes that he has a need for a particular product or service. Until the prospect crosses that line in his mind, he is not a candidate for what you're selling. Most people that you speak to initially have not crossed that line. They have no idea that they even need your product or service. This is why they say things like, I am not interested, or I am not in the market, or I can't afford it. The second stage occurs once he realizes that he needs a product or service to solve a problem or improve some part of his life. He then looks at what is available in the market and begins evaluating and comparing various alternatives. The more expensive the item or the greater the complexity of the purchase, the more information gathering and comparison the prospect will do before making a decision. Finally, the third stage of the buying process, he revolves any lingering questions he might have about the choice available and makes a decision. For example, when the average person buys a car, he first concludes or recognizes that he needs a new car. He then proceeds to the second phase and visits an average of the 10 dealerships before deciding upon the exact car he wants. He narrows the 10 dealerships down to about 3 that offers the particular car he has decided upon. He then proceeds to the phase 3 where he compares the 3 dealerships against each other on the basis of model, color, price and trading value for his existing car. Though not necessarily in that order of importance. When he determines which of his dealership offers the best combination of these ingredients, he makes his buying decision. As a customer, you will follow very much the same process whether you're buying a house, an accounting system, a new computer, batch of chemicals, a machine tool, an aeroplane, or anything else. You recognize the need, compare among the options available, and make a decision. To sell effectively, you must get in step with your customer and sell the way your customer buys. The second phase in the selling process, problem identification, corresponds to the first phase in the buying process. The point where both of you realizes that the customer has a need. As you ask your prospect questions related to his current situation, you uncover a problem that your prospect can solve. I'll take that again. As you ask your prospect questions related to his current situation, you uncover a problem that your product can solve. You begin to create a mental gap between where the customer perceives himself to be and where the customer could be. You begin to create a sense of dissatisfaction or discomfort in the customer. As you widen this gap with your questions, you begin to point out the virtues and values of your solution and how much better of your prospect could be if he was owning and enjoying it. Here is the rub. Very often, you will open the prospect's mind to the awareness that he needs the product or service you're selling. You will go on to show how your product or services deal for his needs. He will apparently become convinced and you will feel that a sale is at hand. Then, unexpectedly, the customer will thank you very much, ask you to leave your materials and proposal, and suggest that you get back together again at a later time. He will show you to the door and thank you for coming in. What has happened? What has happened is that the specter of risk has raised its ugly head. Customers don't buy expensive items without checking around to make sure they are getting the best possible deal. If you're not careful at this point, you can make a sale for your competitor. You can arouse the customer's desire to buy what you're selling, and then the customer will call your competitors to get rival proposal. Instead of becoming the primary supplier of your product, you become just one more party to a bidding war. In this second phase of buying process, where the customer gathers as much information as possible so that he can evaluate the options and alternatives available to him to solve the problem, you have an excellent chance of winning this sale. But you must know what to do and you must do it well. Your job is to help the customer make a good buying decision. To do this at this stage of the sale, you must position yourself as a consultant and as a business advisor rather than a salesperson. You must sit down and work with your customer to help him define clearly what is important to him in his buying decision. A product or service may have a dozen features and benefits and be capable of doing many things for the customer. But from the customer's point of view, the decision will center on seldom more than 3 to 5 items. Okay, so this is where we'll stop for our reading today. It says the buying process. It keeps reminding us about the buying process, the stages of, the stages you have to go through in your presentation with a client or a customer before you be able to convince him or persuade him to buy with you. First thing first, which the book has been talking about and has been elaborating more on, is that you have to develop a good rapport with your client, asking situation and personal questions, situation and meaning questions, asking him questions about where he is at the moment in his business, asking him personal questions about how he got there and the rest of it. The second stage is by identifying the problem, and how you identify problem is by asking penetrating questions, asking questions that will hurt his emotion, like to bring out that emotion of where he's having problems, to bring out that place where he's having where he's hurting in terms of using products and your product or services. Then the third one is presenting the solution. This is when you present a solution is when you have identified the problem and have known that your product or your service will be able to solve this problem before you now go to pricing. Then it still went ahead to talk about the buying process. Before you make or convince or persuade your customer to, or your clients to get something from you, you have to make your customer or your client see you as a business consultant or as a business advisor rather than a sales person. Don't just go there to sell. Try to help him realize that, okay, yes, you have this problem, you've identified the problem, and this is what you should do and this is what you should not do. Although your products may come with so many benefits and features, and you feel that okay, all these things will be able to convince him and the rest of it. But you have to do more than that for your customer or your client to be able to make a buying decision. And the most important way to do that is to position yourself as a consultant, as a business consultant, like as an advisor, as a counselor, you know, as a guide to the kind of product or the kind of services you should use. That will pave way for you to make sales to this client or to these customers. And remember that if it doesn't go well, you must have told him everything he needs to know about product and services, tell him the features and every other thing. But if you've not really elaborated more or asked penetrating question or help him identify where the problem lies, he may go to your competitors and get that same product and services that you've asked for, or he will tell you, he will call you back later, then go ahead to look for more information about whatever you've told him, or gather more information then before he will make a buying decision. And at the end of the day, it may not be you who he will buy for. At the beginning of our book reading, remember it told us that customers are no longer people who don't know, but customers are now filled with information. Whatever product or service they want to buy or patronize, they tend to get more information about it. I gave an example of someone who would want to get television. What would he do? He will first of all search the internet, do his research, look for the best brand of TV. Is it Samsung? Is it LG? Is it Hisense? What are the best brand to go for? Then when he's fulfilled with the kind of information he has gotten, before he will consider price, durability, and the rest of it. So all this thing is just to help make us just a guide and a process on how to make successful sales to our clients and our customers. So that's just a brief summary of our reading this morning. Thank you.